This is Dr. Carroll, and this video is about programming syntax, programming errors, and problem solving. So let me start with one of my favorite teaching stories. It was my first semester teaching as a professor, and I was trying to have the clean-cut look, if you look back at old pictures. And I had the quietest Computer Science 1 class I think I had ever had. Well, it was just after fall break, and I was trying to get some conversation going before class started. I asked people, "What did you do over fall break?" No one answered. Then a student asked, "Hey, Dr. Carroll, what'd you do over fall break?" I replied, "I bought 250 pounds of weed." Eyes got big, and one student asked, "Dr. Carroll, what are you going to do with that?" I said, "Well, I make my own bread." And the student said, "Well, I bet you it's really good bread." I was like, well, a little confused at the sudden interest in my bread making. I said, "Yeah, it's Grandma's recipe. She's been honing it for decades." Then a student clarified and said, "Oh, Dr. Carroll, you said wheat." I said, "Well, yes, I bought 250 pounds of wheat. So with that story as a true story, with that story as a background, let me share with you Grandma's recipe. We have Grandma Dallie's honey whole wheat bread. Okay, so you didn't think you were getting a baking lesson today, did you? Well, here it goes. So mix the following ingredients together in order: 8 ounces of honey, 3.5 ounces of oil, 0.8 ounces of salt, 3 pounds of water, 3 pounds freshly ground whole wheat flour, 3 tablespoons of yeast, and then mix in, it depends how much, 1.5 to 1 3/4 pounds fresh ground wheat flour until it cleans the sides, and knead that for 5 minutes, and then bake at, the simple recipe is 350 degrees for about 22 to 25 minutes until it's perfect. So what does Grandma Dallie's bread recipe have to do with programming? Well, programming is writing a set of instructions. If we get the syntax a little wrong in English, we'll probably figure it out. If you get this recipe a little bit wrong, it might survive. But sometimes a little difference, like the ending of a word, could have a huge change. Well, with programming, we have to get the syntax right. With languages that are compiled like Java, the program will not execute at all until we have no syntax errors. So let's talk about programming errors. And let's review the different types of programming errors. We have syntax errors. This is a violation of a programming language's rules. An example would be if you entered the wrong symbol into a line of code, something like that, and then the compiler will yell at you. When you get a syntax error, look at the line that it's reported to be on. If you don't find it there, look at the previous line. The violation is often the previous line, and then the compiler doesn't realize something's wrong, or it reports it as being wrong on the next line. The other type of error is a logic error. This is an error that occurs while the program is running, also known as a semantic error. An example of a logic error would be trying to read a file that does not exist. In addition to errors, you will also get warnings. Best practice is to eliminate all compiler warnings by fixing your code. So let's talk about programming syntax now versus problem solving. Let's continue with this baking motif. Have you ever created a new recipe? How did it turn out? And which was more important in making the new recipe, English skills or cooking knowledge and experience? Well, if I'm going to be eating your food, I'm going to vote cooking knowledge and experience. There's an analogy with programming. Programming is part about programming language syntax, but it's much more about problem solving. Along those lines, learning to program can help those that are not going to become computer scientists. Learning how to program will enhance any profession. I hope you enjoyed this. That's it.